right soul, welcome to my review of NXT that aired on the... not 4th of October? I believe so. We get Mojo Rawley in the first match, but it's against Tyler Breeze. I don't know what Tyler Breeze did for his star to fall so low, to go from main eventing to Mojo Rawley. Maybe it's a test for him. Yeah, very, very short match. Mojo attacks, Tyler Breeze gets advantage, and attacks the shoulder he threw into a post 2 weeks ago. It's a long time for that to be quite a serious injury. And then slaps on an armbar, and he doesn't tap out. The ref just stops the match. Seems a bit odd. I think it would have been better if he had just tapped out, make more sense. Like, the commentary are trying to cover up, saying, oh, the ref must have heard something snap or pop. But when does that ever stop wrestling? Regardless, Tyler Breeze wins, Mojo Rawley's injured. I don't know if they're just giving Tyler a few wins, so hopefully he won't carry on with Mojo Rawley, and Mojo Rawley will be out for a while. That would make me happy. Okay, we've got Enzo and Big Cass in the back. Going to go talk to reveiw to get the hairdresser woman tryout. After just some talking, this is not a great segment. Enzo, their comedy's not working so well here. Love reveiw, but he's just playing an angry, authoritative figure. They show her come out, she makes some... Why on earth is a trainee wearing a helmet? What? Anyway, this Carmel woman makes her tap out this trainee with a helmet. And then Regal's like, okay, and she's got a trial. And yeah, at some point she'll have a match. Yeah, Big Cass and Enzo, this isn't your best stuff ever. Hopefully once it comes in ring, there'll be a bit more chemistry, but these backstage segments aren't doing it for me. Okay, we get Victor versus Hideo Itami. A match that's not going to blow you away, but it was a good match. Hideo has learned to do a springboard nearer the turnbuckle, because unlike the rings you used to working on the indies, WWE rings are bigger, and those ropes do bend a lot more. But yeah, it's a nice springboard drop kick off there. Yeah, his style is just very choppy and slappy, and they're showing that he can hold his own. Victor's a fairly big man, and they just start off with a massive brawl, just hitting each other, and Hideo gets the better of it. Though, at one point, Hideo gets thrown over the turnbuckle. I think he was meant to just land on the apron, but I think he really hit his side, because after that point, Hideo does look really wobbly. He sort of carries on with the match, but like everything, it just then, his running, his walking, like even just climbing through the ropes, he just seems really off. I think that really either winded him, or really hurt like his side and leg, because yeah, he was unstable. But Hideo's got Victor down, and he's going for the double foot stomp off the top, because he's like a Japanese person, so that's what they have to have. But then the other Ascension guy has Funaki unconscious on the ramp, and is just literally picking him up and dropping him like a rag doll. This is a distraction to Hideo, gets down, is like, hey! Victor gets back up, goes for the clothesline, misses, and then Hideo, I think he was going more for a Yakuza kick, but sort of turns it into a single-footed drop kick to the face, but it still gets the pin. So he still wins the match, but then straight afterwards, both Ascension guys are in the ring, beating him down, just mauling him, and they manage to tie his arms up in the bottom and second rope. Funaki is in the ring, and they just sort of destroy him in front of Hideo, and Hideo's like, no, don't! I don't know why, it might just be the accent, but it's like very weird, and like, he's bleeding from the mouth, Hideo, so it's quite a good visual. But I really don't know what this is going to build to, unless it's a handicap match that Hideo wins. That'll be like a huge thing for him, making him a big star, and it'll be sort of a bad send-off for the Ascension, but WWE has made it clear NXT doesn't really exist in the continuity of the WWE, the rest of the shows, so yeah, it's really confusing. But yeah, not a bad segment. I do hope it doesn't last that much longer. Maybe just a singles match against the other guy, and then move on to some other just matches. Honestly, more in-ring from him. Okay, an interesting one. We get good old Enzo and Big Cass versus the Vaudevillains. The crowd are really split on this because they love both teams. And I think the crowd were also a bit hurt by the fact that Enzo had changed his intro. I can see why. It's like getting used to doing more things, but with the previous one, the crowd chanted all the way along with it. It's like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. You don't like seeing them unless they do "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages." And like Enzo and Cass have sort of found that. But I suppose whether that would translate to the main roster was another thing. But yeah, so they tried a new one and it was alright. Shows Enzo on the mic. The failing of this team is they're not the best in ring. Cass has got solid big moves, just needs to get a bit more of the mannerisms, and Enzo's just not great in the ring. But the Vaudevillains, fantastic wrestlers. Basically, it's just a straight up match. It's not really any cheating, like, pulls him into the rope, so it's dishonourable, but not like cheating. And then they hit the rolling senton, then the diving senton for the win. So it looks like Vaudevillains are going to be the next to face Lucha Dragons. Which the crowd were happy with, because we got chants of "This is manly." Again, good. I think Enzo and Cass have a really good gimmick. They just need to improve their in-ring. Vaudevillains sort of have both. They've got a good gimmick, and their in-ring is good. They're sort of closer to actually coming up to the main roster. But giving them a rivalry with Lucha Dragons, I think that's going to be a good sort of test. See how they do in a proper storyline. They've not had that yet. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. And again, watching this, it just makes me disgusted when I see Eva Marie, Cameron, Rosa Mendez in matches. It's ridiculous. You've got your trainees working this hard to put on such good matches, and the divas you choose to show on the main roster are disgusting pieces of shit that should not be in a wrestling ring. It makes me angry. But yeah, good match. Becky Lynch still needs to work on it. She's gone from the Irish jigging gimmick to this rocker, but she does need to just get used to her mannerisms, relax a bit. She is, I think, forcing it a bit too much, because there's a bit too much just like not comfortable sounding sounds from her. But no, she's getting her moveset established. Yeah. As for Sasha Banks, she's got a gimmick, she's got her moves, looks good in the ring. Love her finisher, the backstabber to crossface. Beautiful move. She gets the win, and it looks like it's going to be her going against. I think there might be like a triple threat thing going on between Charlotte Bayley and Sasha Banks the Boss. So, see how it goes in the coming weeks. Well, for the first time that I can remember, the NXT main event was awful. Oh, for God's sake, Titus O'Neil, go back to the main roster and sod off. Oh, when anyone's working you, it feels like slow motion. When you're in a position, when you're in charge of a match, it's just so slow. Titus, I actually kind of like you in matches. You seem fairly decent, but I don't know, just on NXT, compared to what I'm used to seeing, you're just slow and awful. That match was boring. I had a hard time staying concentrated, focused on the match. Oh, and for Sami Zayn to just... I can understand. A guy coming from the main roster, this is where the NXT guys should be striving for, going to. I don't have a problem with them losing. But if they're losing to a guy that's losing to a bunny rabbit on Raw, what the fuck? When you're losing to the worst people on the roster, the comedy people. Oh, Like, if you get a mid-carder, a Kofi Kingston, a Dolph Ziggler, there's no shame in losing, and if it's a good match. This was not a good match. I will give it, I quite like the finish. That actually worked, tripping up Sami Zayn, hitting the Clash of the Titus, because I do like the Clash of the Titus move. But just the rest of the the rest of the match was so slow, and Titus, you are boring as hell. It's like you just came down here, you didn't put any effort in. So disappointed, so disappointed. I hope Titus O'Neil is gone, does not come back to NXT, and can just go away, maybe forever. Go back to Slater and Gator, that's at least entertaining and stupid. This was just boring, which is the biggest offence. Especially, you've got one of your potential NXT champion should not be losing to the lowest guy on the roster. It should have at least been a competitive match. And then I would have been fine if it was competitive back and forth, and then Titus out of nowhere hit the Clash of the Titus. Boom! You've got an ending. But just because the whole match itself was just terribly dull, it just hurts. It makes Titus look awful and boring, and nobody wants to see him. And it doesn't do anything for Sami. If anything, it hurts him. If he loses, the guy losing to the bunny. Bad ending. I quite like most of it. It wasn't the best show. But some people are getting recognition, but that main event was just awful. Right, let me know your opinions of the show, what they can improve, who do you think's ready to come up to the main roster. In fairness, I think Titus O'Neil should go down and Sami Zayn should go up, but that's a moot point. So, until next time, like, subscribe, and TTFN.